Thank you for spending Sunday nights not just with Dean, but also with Sheena. She is back in studio, this time not, though, as a co-presenter as she was for so many years, but this time as a totally legitimate guest on the show. So, Sheena, welcome back.
Thanks.
How are you feeling about being a guest rather than somebody who has the authority to crack the whip and beat me into shape?
Quite scared because I don't know what you're going to come out with.
That is always the problem with me. I'm unpredictable. Although I think you would say that's one of my most charming qualities.
Charming's a word.
Yeah. The reason you're here, though, is to launch your new EP.
Yep.
And it is out on May the 10th. And we are going to be sharing how you can pre-save this on Spotify and Apple Music tonight. We're also going to be getting a world-exclusive live play of the title track from the EP, Behind the Smile, in around half an hour from now. We are going to be learning a lot more about Sheena, the stories behind the songs, because that is one thing I think you often lose. You'll hear on streaming services, you'll see them shared on social media, you'll see songs all over the place. But how often do you actually take a moment to step back and think about why the person wrote that? Or the collection of people wrote that? Where did the story come from? We're going to learn more about that as far as Sheena is concerned tonight. Imagine Dragons now follow you at Reach. Sunday nights with Dean at Reach. Thanks for choosing me to keep you company as I bring you 2 hours of Sheena-y goodness. That's not something I would normally say, but Sheena is not only a talented musician, she is also my loving wife, who is often referred to on the show as Mrs. Dean. I'm not quite sure where that originated, but I figured it was easier for people who haven't been with the show for a long time. I mean, I've been doing radio 20 years, and some people have followed me for most of that. I thought it was easier for people who are just joining to kind of make the link as to who you are, so, rather than just saying Sheena. I mean, that could be anyone. But here we're talking about you in terms of your upcoming release. It is your debut EP.
Yep.
Back in 2015, you released a single, and that was kind of along the country lines.
It was.
But I think you since have been on a voyage of self-discovery and musical discovery, and I would say, having listened to your new EP with 4 different tracks on it, I would say that this is where you have found yourself.
Oh, thanks.
Because the variety you've got in there of the different styles, going from country, which I know you love because it's been a part of both of our lives for a good many years now, you've got that side of it. You've got the pop side, but you've also got a hint of traditional Scottish folk in there, which I absolutely love. I am going to be fawning all over this because I genuinely love it. And I'm one of those people, as Sheena well knows, and I'm sure if you listen to the show long enough, you will know that I don't say nice things about something unless I genuinely mean it. I'll just keep quiet. Talk to me about your musical journey then, Sheena. I mean, I know you've always been musical.
Yeah.
But there's something from your childhood memories that kind of really angers me. And I wanted to bring it up. Not because it's sensitive, but because it's going to inspire people, I think.
Well, this came up when we were chatting earlier, didn't it? Because I've got this app on my phone, which is like motivational quotes and things. And it's some things you read them, you think, oh, what's that? But this one popped up and said, they told me I couldn't. That's why I did it. And I'm very much like that. If somebody tells me that I can't do something, that makes me even more determined that I am actually going to do it. And as a child, I have this memory of a teacher telling me that, I should take piano lessons because I wasn't going to make it as a singer.
For somebody to say that, especially to a child, to tell them that they cannot achieve something,
yes,
that must have been soul-destroying.
These things don't leave you.
For the fact that you still recall that now, and you are almost, I think you are, in a way, seeing this EP as the finger, as it were. I can't put it any other way. What inspired you to actually put an EP together, having already released a single about 5-6 years ago?
Well, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and every so often the idea, you talk about it, I'm going to do an EP, but it never ever happens. So I joked about it, there was 3 parts to this. So first lockdown I thought about it, second lockdown I wrote it, and third lockdown I recorded it. It took me 3 lockdowns to actually get there, but I finally did. But in some ways as well, like when I finally started writing again, because first lockdown I thought, all this time I'm going to write all these songs, it's going to be wonderful. I just couldn't. I was so blocked and I really struggled. So when I finally managed to break that block, and I was so pleased with the songs that I was recording and writing, I was like, I really want to get these out there. I want to share these with people. So... And I must admit as well, a friend of mine released an album in October last year, and there was a little smidge of jealousy there too.
Jealousy, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, I want to do that too.
It's also maybe the self-belief.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they will dabble in music, they may dabble in writing, but then having the confidence to put yourself out there on a platform where you can be judged.
Yeah, it's one thing putting out videos on YouTube, which I've been doing for a few months now, which are covers that people can enjoy, and it's a whole other thing when these songs are self-written and they're a little piece of you.
Talking about the writing, though, you've said to me before, it doesn't come naturally to you, does it? Some people, they say, oh, I can write 3 or 4 songs in a day. It's nothing. And those musicians, good for you.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can do that, that's great, but I find it's really hard. I've got to work at it. I've got to sit myself down and say, right, I'm going to work on this song. I'm going to write. I'm going to work on lyrics. I'm going to do music. I've actually got to make myself do it. I can do it. Once I get into it, it's great. But I have got to make myself get there.
It's a 4-track EP. We're going to go through each one of these throughout the next wee while. But for now, we want to talk about Lost in Thunder, which I've got to admit is a personal favourite for me.
Oh, it was such a fun one to record as well. So it's track 3 on the EP, and it was the last song that I wrote. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with things, and I was really, really fed up. It was the end of the second lockdown, and I'm really fed up with things, so I took myself out for a walk. And while I was out walking, I was thinking about stuff, and I came up with the idea. I thought, you know what, I'd like to write something that sounds a little bit folky. So I decided that's what I was going to do. And then I had this image of this, it was quite a cheesy image really, but this girl standing on this like hill overlooking the sea, and her hair's blowing out behind her in her dress and whatever. And I'm like, I wonder what her story is. So I came up with a little riff for this song, and then I decided that this song was going to be the story of this girl. So she's out, and it's very stormy, and it's quite an atmospheric piece, and it was a bit of an exercise in character study, that song as well, and it was really fun to write, and I got to get into lots of harmonies and things when I was recording it. So yeah, it's an exciting one, that one.
Sorry, I couldn't resist the cheesy thunder. It had to happen. Now, I don't believe any cheesy thunder appears on that track, does it?
Not actual thunder, but there's representative thunder.
The biggest thing for me, apart from the emotional aspect of that track, is its Scottish folky roots. I think it is so true to you in terms of where you're from, as it were.
Yeah, and I was brought up in a lot of Scottish folk music as well, so I think it draws on that too.
Exactly. I don't just mean geographically outside Edinburgh, but I'm talking more about your musical upbringing with some of those folk musicians who even I've grown to love over time. So, yeah, it's a good one. Let us talk about another song on the EP. This one is called Let Go. Yeah,
so this is the final track on the EP. And it was actually one of the easiest songs to put together. I mean, the only one I wrote on the piano, because I had been writing with guitar. And I was like, well, I play piano too. Well, why not sit down and try and write at the piano? So I did. And this is the song that happened. I was playing around. The chorus, it just fell into place. It just popped into my head. And it looks about how you have to let go of the past to move on. You're not forgetting what happened. You're just not letting it consume you. I've written it from the point of view of the loss of a person from your life, but it could apply to just about anything really. When I wrote it, I was dealing with having been made redundant, so I think that had a bit of an effect on that as well. It's because you're dealing with grief in the same sort of way.
Change.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with change, never mind just loss.
Yeah.
Let go of not an external person, but also let go of yourself. You could even look at it that way, I suppose.
You can interpret it in many ways.
Exactly. And I love songs where you can do that sort of thing. Sheena is now going to talk about the title track of her EP, Behind the Smile, and then we're going to hear it as a world exclusive live on the show.
I've sat in this studio so many times, but I've never been this nervous before.
It's the effect I have on people, Sheena. Yeah. I make them nervous. I just have to stand there next to them, towering over them. Back to serious things. let's talk about this song, because obviously there is significant meaning to you with the lyrics and just the fact that it became the title track of the EP.
Yeah, so this song actually was written in 2019. It was the only song I wrote that whole year, and it started life as a few lines scribbled down in a notebook while I was on a sun lounger in a hotel in Gran Canaria, of all places. So later in the holiday, I'm sat in the bar with the notebook, fleshing out the lyrics, because I like to write songs with a pen and paper. I don't like to type. I like to be able to scribble and draw lines and do it all like that. So a couple sat a few tables away from us was looking at me as if I was doing this really strange thing. I'm writing in a notebook, and I could hear them saying, "Oh, she's writing in a notebook." I was like, I'm just writing in a notebook. It's not that strange. But I came back from that holiday, and I didn't really do much more with the song until later on that year, where I was due to be playing a no covers night, an originals night, and realised I didn't have enough original songs to sing. So I was like, right, I'll finish that one. And I was so pleased with how it turned out. Unfortunately, then I got stuck and I struggled to write. So when we came back to it, I knew that I wanted that song to be part of this EP. And because all the other tracks are they're about emotions, they're about feelings, they're about people, I thought, well, Behind the Smiles is sort of a good overall thing for that. And I thought that's why it would make a really good cover song. But it explores the way that you don't always know what's going on in someone's head. They can look perfectly fine from the outside, but inside tells a different story.
There's a lot of pressure in society, and I know mental health groups are working so hard to stamp it out. There is a lot of pressure in society to act a certain way, to be a certain way. And I'm not talking about antisocial. I'm just talking about people being not allowed to be themselves or to express their emotions. Got to put on a happy face or that sort of thing. It's not healthy to bottle it all up, because eventually something's going to give.
Yeah, but again, it's also just sort of be kind to people, because you don't know what they're going through. You know, they might look fine from the outside, but you don't know what's going on in their life.
So very true. And I'm sure it will resonate with a lot of people. I think that is what I love about the stories that you tell on this EP. You can find a connection with every song. Mm-hmm. I shall allow you to grab your guitar to play this as a world exclusive first. It is going to be a live play of Sheena's brand new track, Behind the Smile. The EP is out on the 10th of May. You can pre-save it now for Spotify and Apple Music. I've linked that up on my social media. Just go to radiodean.com and you can find the socials there. I've shared it on Facebook right now. We'll get that up on Instagram as well for you, just so that you can be reminded when it's out and you can have a listen to the full thing. For now, though, this is going to be something special. It is Sheena singing Behind the Smile, live exclusively on Reach On Air.
Another Monday, you put your war paint on, you tell yourself be strong, if only you believed it. But they have to see you smile, so they don't ask you why, so they think it's all fine. You just carry on, you just carry on. Every now and then you let a few tears fall. It's just enough to ease the pain. You're human after all, allowing you to carry on with life for a while. But they'll never know what lies behind the smile. Take a breath, think before you speak, consider what to say, don't be a trigger. Don't you rock the boat, do anything it takes, 'cause it's not worth the pain of another storm, of another storm. Every now and then you let a few tears fall. It's just enough to ease the pain. You're human after all, allowing you to carry on with life for a while. lies behind the smile. 20 years, another one's gone by. You think that it'd be easier, but it isn't. And you still miss her as much as the day she left this life. There's so much she hasn't seen or been a part of, and it still hurts. Every now and then you let a few tears fall. It's just enough to ease the pain. You're human after all, allowing you to carry on with life for a while. But they'll never know what lies behind the smile. We'll never know what lies behind the smile.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Sheena. I think all I can do here is to give you a polite applause. Because I know that's what people at home are doing, and to be honest, if I did that here just solo, it would sound quite weak and pathetic. But that is a powerful song. It touches me, and I'm sure it's reached you as well. You'll be able to get your copy of that as part of the EP on the 10th of May. And I know it's sounding like an infomercial, but I genuinely believe that people are going to love this. Already getting comments from you. reachonair.com. Send a message from the homepage or the web player. We'll read some of those out in a little while. For now, though, I just want to talk about production, because solo musicians, and certainly people who are just getting into creating music, they might start with just guitar or piano, and thinking back to your original single in 2015, that was just a couple of layers of guitar just to add a bit of depth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas with this EP, you've really started to explore layering strings and piano and guitar and many, many layers of vocals, and you've got this richer sound. So talk me through this whole producing at home thing, because so many artists, from big A-listers down to those just starting out, have been doing it this way because there is no other at the moment. Just talk me through some of this, because it's quite a cool story.
Well, if you'd told me 12 months ago that I would be able to record and produce an entire EP on my iPad, I'd have laughed at you. But with an iPad, a very small little interface, and a microphone and a few cables, I've been able to put this together. So while the track started out with just guitar or just piano, while I didn't explore a full band sound, because I'm not quite there yet with being able to do that, I started looking at things like a bit of strings or some synthesizer or a few extra vocal layers just to add a bit of depth. And especially in something like Lost in Thunder, I use the vocals in a particular way to add texture and as part of the storytelling as well, which is quite interesting.
You've really got to have an ear for this, and it sounds in a way easy. You just say, just throw a few layers of this, that, and the other together. But actually, you've got to have the vision to do this.
Yeah, and that's like the songwriting itself, that is something that I do struggle with up to a point. And that's why I haven't sort of been able to sort of progress to a full band sound yet. But watch out for the next record. Who knows what'll happen?
Absolutely.
Your Sunday night starts here. It starts now.
Radio. Now, before that, we played you Sheena's music friend and colleague, Tom McLaughlin, because you've worked together on some things, haven't you?
Yeah, so he helped me with a lot of the mixing and mastering from the EP, and kept me going with the recording when I was struggling to get through some of it, it was really nice to have that support. And we might have a few other little projects up our sleeves for the future. And
I get to hear some previews, if you like, mainly because our house is not that large. So I do hear little bits and pieces of things and go, ooh, this sounds interesting. Can't wait to hear the full version of that. Plus, I'm nosy. Let us get back to your EP, Sheena. It's out May the 10th, and it is called Behind the Smile. So there's one more track to talk about. Which one is this, Sheena?
This one's called Would We? And this was the one that it broke my writer's block, so the song means a lot to me. And the idea came from, I'd been reading a book, and there's a few things, because I like, when I'm watching TV, I'm reading, if I find a phrase or a bit of story or something that inspires me, I like make a note of it on my phone. And I'd been reading this book in the morning when I'd woken up, and I'd been driving, I think I was going to a yoga class or something, and driving there, and I had this idea come into my head. And I was like, I can't forget this. So I'm like singing things over and over in my head. And as soon as I parked up, I'm like, I had to make some notes and sort this out because like, this feels like a song. This is so good. And I was so excited. And yeah, again, it marked the end of my writer's block. So it's a really important song. And I'm so pleased it's on the EP.
Well, we shall all look forward to that. It is available now for pre-save on Spotify and Apple Music. So if you liked the live song you heard earlier, you're going to love the recorded versions. And they're out May the 10th. And right now you can, as I say, pre-save via the link you'll get on my social media at facebook.com/RadioDeanUK. And you've talked about the songs tonight, so hopefully that's been a little bit of a tease and made people really want to get their hands on this as that date approaches.